Welcome back to another video for the detection and response series. Very short series. In this video, I'll be capturing a packet, which I've done in other videos, but I wanted to demonstrate it specifically with the scenario for a security professional. So, as a security professional, right, it's important to know, of course, how to capture. It's like I did in my last video, how to analyze a captured packet or the payload, whatever way you like to quantify it, or the term you like to use rather. It's important to know how to capture and filter the network traffic in a Linux environment. Now, I'll also need to know the basic concepts associated with network interfaces as well. Now, what I'll be doing in this video particularly is performing a few tasks associated with TCP dump, in particular to capture network traffic. Now, I'll capture the data in a packet capture or PCAP file and then examine the contents of the packet, the capture packet data to focus on specific types of traffic, similar but not as intensive as I did in the prior video when I analyzed multiple packets right from the save file. But nonetheless, we can get to our scenario for this video. So let's say I'm a network analyst, right? And I need to use TCP dump to capture and analyze live network traffic from a Linux virtual machine. So my Linux home directory, let's say it contains a sample packet capture file that I'll use in this particular video to go through a few things about network traffic that it contains, right? So I'll do this in a few different ways, identifying network interface, of course, initially. Then I'll use TCP dump as far as filtering. Then I'll also capture it using TCP dump as well. Then I'll filter the capture packet data. So to get started, I'll go ahead and identify the network interfaces. So let's go ahead and enter wonderful command. Let's see. Perfect. All right, so I see the command returning the output, right, of a few things, right? So we see the Ethernet. The Ethernet network interface is identified by the entry with ETH, right? And then what I'll be doing, I'll use ETH0 to as the interface that I will capture network packet data from a few things I'm going to do. So now we're just going to use TCP dump to identify the interface options available for packet capturing. So let's do. All right, perfect. So ETH0, as I mentioned. So this command, it allows me to identify which network interfaces, as I mentioned, are available, so I can use it because it may be useful on systems that don't include IF config, right? So now I'm going to move to my next task, which is inspecting the network traffic of the network interface using TCP dump. So I'll use sudo TCP dump, of course, if I could spell it correctly, and then use Actually, I forgot I was using that for Ethernet based. Then let's do. So now we're listening, right? So the let's break down this first initially, right? So this portion of my command, right, it just captures data specifically from the ETH0 surface or interface rather. And what the V does, it details, it just displays details of the packet data. And lastly, what the C5 does is capture 5 packets of data. We don't want to be too extensive, but we would want to capture enough to have sufficient amount. So now I'm going to take a detailed look at the packet information that has returned as far as the output. So we see here, right? It's just as far as exploring the details, right? I'm just going to identify some of the properties that it outputs here. So we see the IP, we see the flags, protocol, see TCP, we see the length 68, which is some of the stuff that we went over. Instead of using Linux, which is the CLI, we use the GUI, which is Wireshark for. But we also see 5 packets captured and 8 packets received initially, and none were dropped. So we have a good starting point at least, right? So in this example, right, we can see that provided information on the link type and the capture size in bytes. So we take a look where it go. Right. the link type. And as I mentioned, the capture size right here, the link type, Ethernet, which we already knew anyway, and then the amount of bytes, capture size in bytes at least. Now on the very next line, right here, right, we have the first field is the packet time step followed by the protocol type, right here, as I mentioned, right, which is TCP. And then we see the, oh man, Linux is, I think I'm starting to like Wireshark better. But nonetheless, this is necessary. But nonetheless, as we can see, as it continues, it just provides more details about the IP packet field, such as like TOS, TTL offset, flags, right? As you can see here, the internal protocol type, right? Again, like I said, transmission control protocol and link with the outer IP packets and bytes as well. And the specific details about these fields are just beyond the scope of my current environment. But I just want to showcase that these are properties that relate to the IP network packet. So it also shows in here for the output, the data shows that the systems that are communicating with each other as well. Somewhere in there, just lost it with all the stuff here. But by default, TCP dump, what it does is it will convert the IP addresses into names, right? And the name of my Linux virtual machine also, it would appear there or here as the source for one packet, then a destination for the second packet as well. So in my, let's say if I had any live data, right, the name may be, different, if you were to do it on your computer versus, or your environment versus mine, right? But nonetheless, this just goes to a few things about as far as the details of everything I mentioned, as far as the flags field, identifying the TCP flags, and a P representing the push flag, and the period indicates it's an acknowledgement flag, and which means that the packet is pushing out the data. But nonetheless, I'll move forward with capturing actual network traffic with TCP dump again. So let's go back to sudo TCP dump. All right, ETH in C9 port 80. Packet coverage, cap. So 12803. Okay, now this command, it just, I was also, right now it's running in the background, right? But there may be some output text that may appear in just a second. And let's see, you know what, even though it's running in the background, I'll run something else. So let's do open source, like we saw in the last video, opensource.google.com. Right, so I can still do that, even though I do have the prior command running in the background as far as the W capture pcap and everything. But now when I have this command, the curl command, right, it's used like this to open a website typically, and it generates some HTTP or TCP port 80 traffic that can be captured. And so now I'm going to verify that the packet has been captured. So let's see here. Okay, we got a little something. We brought our bait and got some fish. All right, perfect. So the done in the output indicates that the packet was captured. That's what I was looking for. So now I'm just going to filter the packet, well, the captured packet data nonetheless. So I'm just going to use TCP dump to do this filter. So I'm going to use sudo, of course, again, TCP dump. And gave me a lot. So it's just gave me a few different options. So the NN, right, that I had, as you can see right here, just disabled the port and protocol name lookup. And then the R, it read the capture data from the name file. Then V just displayed the detailed packet data. And I have to also specify the minus NN switch again, as because I want to make sure that TCP dump does not perform like name lookups of either IP addresses or ports, since this can alert threat actors. So now what I'm going to do is actually use another TCP dump command to actually filter the extended packet data from the captured packet. So let's do sudo again. TCP dump. Right. Let's do this here. Probably. Okay, so I ran a few things. I'm just going to add on to the breakdown of what my command was. If I can find it amongst all of this. I added the X, the minus X. It just displays the hexadecimal and the ASC2 or II output format packet data. Because some security analysts or security professionals in general can analyze hexadecimal output to detect patterns or anomalies during malware analysis or forensic analysis, right? So, so yeah, just and if you want to know what a hexadecimal is, I mean, you can Google it, but it's known as hex or like a base 16, which uses 16 symbols to represent values, including like digits 0 to 9, letters A, B, C, D, E, and F, right? But nonetheless, but yeah, that's what it is. So this also brings us to the end of the video as far as our conclusion. And I just want to do a brief recap as usual. So I showcased practical experience with identifying network interfaces using the TCP dump command to capture network data for inspection, and also interpreted the information for the that TCP dump actually outputs regarding a packet, and saved and loaded a packet data for later analysis as well. So nonetheless, again, we reached the end of the video. Until the next one, which I believe I have one more for this series, stay curious, stay secure.